Hey guys, Cookie here, along with Swanee, and we are fresh off of just watching EA play, and we've got a lot of thoughts about it, even though we didn't get a lot of content to talk about. We still have tons to talk about at the same time because, disappointment, we can put a lot of words into that as well. So, first things first, Swanee, as far as EA play is concerned, how would you rate it? Conference overall, how would you rate it out of 10? Kind of the same as we did the Sony conference about the PlayStation 5. Get that off your chest right at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Jumping right into it, huh? Well, the Sony, I gave like a 4, I think. 4 or 5, something like that. I think it was a 4
I think
out of 10.
Eventually by the end you came to a 4 or 5, I think, yeah.
This event makes that Sony event look like the greatest event I've ever seen. This EA Play event makes me embarrassed, and I feel like a moron that I let EA convince me to watch this show. It was such a horrible show. I have no words. I'm giving it a 0, just a straight 0. It had nothing redeeming about it. It had some Star Wars gameplay. That doesn't even make up the difference. Just a straight 0. It was horrible. One of the worst gaming events I have ever seen in my entire life.
I'll give it a 1 because at least it showed Star Wars Squadrons gameplay. Because even though they promised that, I was at the point of wondering if they would just BS it. Like we talked about that one guy in the Sony conference who said, here's gameplay. And it was another trailer. At least it was actually gameplay. Although I will also put in, I still wanted different kinds of gameplay than what they showed. It was still stylized cinematic gameplay. So maybe you're right. Maybe I can just give this a fucking 0. This is
0.
just so awful. EA has so much shit. I don't think we give that enough credit. How many studios they have, how many game franchises they own the rights to, how many things they own the rights to. They own the right to basically all of sports. They own the right to Star Wars. They have the Battlefield, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Sims. I could go on and on and on about how many franchises they have. And this is all they could give us. They gave us, it was done in the stupidest way possible, lamest way possible. This is just,
I think they showed off like 4
awful.
games total. Maybe.
They
announced some like indie game. They announced some sort of rockets game.
They had,
where you kill each other.
I think like world premiere wise, like as premiere games, I think they showed 2. Because Star Wars Squadrons was already announced, and already had a trailer before EA Play. Apex is just DLC, basically. So yeah, those 2 games that I'd never heard of before. And then they announced that Skate is coming, but they didn't show a trailer or anything.
A new Skate.
Yeah,
and they had a bunch of weird political stuff that they're only doing right now because of the current times, and they're trying to capitalize on
the
LGBT. It's Pride Month, and the Black Lives Matter stuff. They had to get out of the way. Like, I felt like there was just as much political stuff as there was gaming stuff. It just felt so weird.
You could almost argue there was more. I mean, they started with a lot of political stuff, which I can live with that from the very beginning, get it all out of the way, say it all that good stuff. I mean, whatever. I mean, most of it's puffing yourself up and stuff to make yourself look good, whatever. But why they kept going after that, I don't know why. This is just not, you've already done your bit. I don't know why you had to keep pushing that as if Sims is such a important thing for the LGBTQ community.
They had an entire segment of LGBTQ stuff for leading up to Sims, but
Sims is to it.
All it was like Sims is coming to Steam. How is that related at all? It's not like Sims is this game that just screams, LGBT pride or whatever. Mm-hmm. I just don't understand how they were related at all. They're just basically saying like, hey, if you're LGBT, you can play Sims, but they can play any game. I think
they were trying to push that, like, because you can make your character transgender and stuff, but that's been in the game for a long time. That's nothing new. It's one thing if they just added that feature, like, hey, we want to make transgender people feel like they're a part of the group, so we added this feature. Well, they didn't add this feature. It's been in the game for like 2 years, I think, at least. So I think that's pretty stupid. I don't understand why that is such a big deal that they had to announce it. And not to mention, that was the second thing that they did after showing the Apex stuff. Then they showed that. You don't start off your show with that anyway. If you're going to have something like that, that needs to be in like the, I don't know, 3/5 of the show, somewhere in that range, but not in the first, like your first encore act right at the very beginning of your show. So their like
they had
placement
a real
of
cringy
things
host
was weird.
It was
Yeah.
a horrible show.
I'm trying to imagine what host could have possibly made that not cringy. All right,
They
maybe
should
if you
just
got the
not had a
best of the
host.
best or something. Yeah, they should not have one. It's stupid. I mean, Sony didn't have one. I mean, it's the coronavirus.
There wasn't enough stuff for them to
conference.
have a host. If it was like an hour to 2 hour long show, like an hour and a half to 2 hours, then yes, the host makes sense. But it was a like 45-minute show, and they didn't show hardly anything. There was no reason to have a host. And there was a lot of fluff in this event. It was just talking to developers, getting their developers' life stories. Like, that's stuff that I wish these game companies would get that through their head, that people don't watch these to get, like, to see interviews with people. They don't care about, like, the one year at EA Play, they had FIFA and they interviewed, soccer players. No one cares about soccer players and their life stories when we're talking about video games. You want to see gameplay. We want to see announcements about the game. We want to see the new stuff. Why should we buy this new game? Me watching an interview about a developer's childhood, about how he loved Star Wars as a kid, does not make me want to go out and buy this video game. Like, I hate that they do that.
With these directors and stuff of this stuff, there's two things that come to my mind. One is, like, if the director is going to talk about his game, you do that after the game, not before the game. Because then when they've already seen the trailer and the gameplay, he might be able to explain certain things. Then he has
and elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, that would make sense. If he's talking before it, I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about. I haven't seen this game. I haven't seen any of this stuff. So why am I talking to you, or why are you talking to me about it before I've even seen the game? He needs to talk afterwards. And secondly, did these directors just, like, did they go into video games so they could become famous? Why do they need to be here? Are they trying to be celebrities? I don't know.
Nobody buys
many
video
game
games.
directors that are celebrities.
Yeah, because of the game directors or developers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just a bunch of fluff to take up. Like, if you took away all that extra fluff, then this whole show would have been like 20 minutes.
Yeah. And I guess that's all they could get out of this was like, hey, we have 45 minutes to fill. It's too bad we don't have any games. 45 minutes isn't really that long for a conference either.
They didn't even announce anything. Like, they have those huge companies. They could have said, hey, we're working on this game. It'll be a couple years, but we're working on it. Hey, we're working on a new Star Wars game. We're working on Fallen Order 2. We're working on Battlefield 6.
Yeah, it's the classic thing of, like, when Microsoft Game Studios announced Halo Infinite, they didn't have anything for it. They just had, like, a really short little teaser thing. And Elder Scrolls 6, they had a really short little teaser. Yeah. That's okay. You can do that. It's nice to know. I mean, it's nice to know, like, hey, we have other plans for Star Wars. Like, okay, Battlefield 6 is almost done. Okay. I don't know. Like,
well, it's probably because EA is known for canceling so many games before they even can make it anywhere. They probably don't want to announce something and then decide, we're not going to make enough money. Hit the cancel button. So
yeah, maybe that's the problem.
On their part.
They can't commit to anything, so they can't show us anything because they're like, well, we might decide to shut down that game studio. And all the bullshit fluff about how much EA cares about its studios. Oh, God. Gag me. We all know EA doesn't give a fuck about their studios or their employees. They've made that extremely clear over the last decade or more. So it almost seems like disgusting propaganda in a way. Like they're forcing these developers to say all this nice stuff and look happy. There's a lot that just doesn't seem right overall, but EA blew this conference horribly.
Yeah, they did.
I also think EA had a chance here because I think they had maybe a chance to get their PR in the right direction. They always have this chance every year. at EA Play, let's try to make us not look like shit, like the company everybody thinks we're a shit company. Let's show them something good. And I mean, this obviously isn't going to help them PR-wise. If anything, it makes them look worse. So, to talk about more specific things, let's talk about Star Wars Squadrons. We are Star Wars people, Star Wars fans. We're in love with Star Wars. So, obviously, any video game comes out, we got to talk about it. We got to see gameplay. We got to hear about customization options. What are your thoughts in general on that now that we have the announcement, the trailer, the gameplay? We know basically what the game's going to be. Are you at all excited for this game?
I mean, my hype for it's very low. If you take away that VR aspect, like the virtual reality is the only thing that I'm somewhat looking forward to because I have a VR headset. You take that away and I would probably completely skip over this game. To me, it feels like they just didn't, give support to Battlefront 2 Starfighter Assault just so they could copy and paste it over to this game and make a new title. And this game just feels like an improved Starfighter Assault, but has less content at the same time. It's weird. It's like Battlefront 2 is 10v10. This is only 5v5. And they added unnecessary customization options that you can't even see. It's just a cash grab. That's what it is. It's a cash grab. And people, I see other YouTube channels hyping this up like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And they're just it's just fluffing. They know their audience is a bunch of Star Wars fans, and it's never a good idea to tell your audience that, hey, the next thing's going to suck. That's like if you go to release a movie and you're like, hey, our movie sucks.
That's like people at this conference saying that, hey, this game sucks. Here's the trailer.
Yeah, that's not a good advertising thing. So all these other YouTubers are going to say, oh my God, this is great, because they want to generate views. If they say this is amazing, this game's shit. It's a cash grab. It's a cash grab. I will straight up say it. It looks like it's got maybe a couple hours of fun, and then you'll be like, wow, this just isn't good. It just doesn't impress me that much.
There's only one thing about it that made me think this is more than just a lame game that's going to die in a week. And that's, they have all these customization options, not the like color of your ship and your face and stuff, but the customization of what you can do in your fighter. That's the only thing about this game. It's like, okay, that's pretty interesting, pretty creative. I've never heard of a, dog fighting plane, but ships kind of game where you can like have all these features to customize how you play. That's interesting, but that's not enough. That's only one part of the entire game.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of stuff you can do.
And knowing EA, I wouldn't be surprised if there's only 2 fucking maps in the game. Nothing would surprise me.
Well, I like the customization, how you can change parts of your ship, like different thrusters, different ways that your abilities shoot. You can change the way that your shields work. If you're getting attacked, you can like revert the power to the back of your ship so that you don't take as much damage from behind. You can activate your thrusters in different ways to do different maneuvers. There's a bunch of different flying mechanics that look like it's going to be fun, but being stuck to first person only, it looks weird, especially with the TIE Fighter. Yeah. All the, the controls and the cockpit, everything inside the TIE Fighter takes up the entire screen. And when you're in first person, I don't see how that's going to be very fun to fly the TIE Fighter if it takes up the entire screen. The X-Wing's a little bit better, but the inside of the cockpit view just doesn't look very appealing. It's going to be difficult to fly in general. I don't know how I feel about it.
I feel like in a lot of ways we both had criticisms about this game just from even before the trailer. I don't feel like any of the criticisms I had feel out of place now after seeing this. I feel like this is exactly what I kind of thought this game was going to be. They didn't even talk about the campaign, which makes me assume it's going to be just as shit, if not much more shit, than the Battlefront 2 campaign was. And
easily.
Yeah, easily. So they didn't even pretend like that was going to be good. And then this whole like 5v5 is killer for this game. I think that if it was 10v10 or even better, it would be like 20v20 or something. I think that would have made a big difference. It would have been like, okay, this game might have a future. But 5v5, nobody plays those kind of games. Or very few. I shouldn't say nobody, because there is stuff like Overwatch and stuff like that. But this is not going to have that kind of appeal. I think they're hoping it does something like that, but I don't see how it's going to be such a great multiplayer experience that people keep playing it for years to come. I do not see that happening.
If anyone drops out, then your team's in a disadvantage, or if two people lag out, or then you just have unbalanced lobbies, 3v5, 2v5. And if you have an entire group of people, like you and your buddies all party up and play against random people in matchmaking, you're going to destroy them. It's just, Star Wars is a casual game with casual players. A lot of them are kids, and I just don't see how this is going to work out. I think EA knew if they didn't make this crossplay, it would not have the player base to support it. I think that's the only reason they made it crossplay, is that they can matchmake from PC to PlayStation to Xbox and have a larger pool of players, because I just don't see this game selling very well.
No, I don't either. I think this is, well, I guess I shouldn't say it because it's Star Wars, so it'll probably sell. I feel like anything Star Wars will sell. I don't think it's going to make as much money as maybe EA hopes it makes. That is true. I don't think it's going to make a ton of money, but maybe they don't expect it to. Maybe that's why it has a $40 price tag and also doesn't have microtransactions. So maybe they're not expecting a whole lot out of it, to be honest. And also, just to go ahead.
Well, go ahead. You go ahead.
We're being so friendly today. The gameplay element, I kind of alluded to this, but after thinking about it for a second, that's some pretty shitty gameplay, to be honest, because I want gameplay to be unedited. I just want to see what it's like to play the fucking game. If it's edited constantly and has cuts to other kinds of gameplay, that just shows the most potentially exciting moment in the gameplay, and then it edits to the next most potentially exciting moment in the gameplay. It doesn't show the in-betweens. So, like, I don't know if, like, the whole experience is fun like that, or if you're going to have lulls in between. I just feel like I want unedited gameplay. That's the kind of gameplay I like what it's actually going to look like when you play the game. So that also
Plus,
I'm not a big fan of.
Another thing you have to keep in mind is how big are these maps? If they're designed for 5v5 dogfights and for this mode where you blow up the other ships, it can't be so huge that you could just fly around wherever, because, I mean, the out-of-bounds area has to be pretty tiny. They have to be probably the same size or smaller than Starfighter Assault maps and Battlefront 2. They're not going to be massive. And I don't know. And the customization doesn't make sense, like changing the way that your character's outfit looks like, changing the way that your character's head or helmet looks like if you want to be an alien or not. You can't see that. You're in the cockpit. You have no idea what your face looks like. Opponents have no idea what your face looks like. Then there's decals and like stickers and stuff you can put on your ship, and you can change the color of your ship. That's not canon. There's no like red, green, blue TIE fighters flying around in the movies. That's stupid. Well, and you don't see that either.
Not to mention, even if they did go super canon, well, then you just wouldn't have any. You'd have like no cosmetic options or very few. Yeah, and I think that hurts it too. I mean, you can't like do what Fortnite does and have 500 different costumes that you could change into if you're going to go canon.
There's that.
And if you don't go canon,
there's that one good customization they have where you have like bobbleheads and stuff on the inside. That part's fine. Like if you want to
see that,
it's something that you can see, and that's something cool. You want a Ewok bobblehead or a Stormtrooper bobblehead, set it on the dash, it moves around as you fly. That's a pretty unique, cool thing. But changing the outside of your ship, no one's going to see that. If you put a sticker on like the wing, who's going to see that? Somebody flying by 100 miles an hour trying to kill you is going to stop and be like, I think that guy had a cool sticker on his wing. Like, it's just, I don't know why they're doing that. It's just a waste of development resources, and it's just stupid.
I think this entire game is a waste of development resources. This is just a massive, why did you spend all this time on it? I had made a comment that it looks like they might have been trying to update Starfighter Assault, and we're just like, you know what? Let's just make a new game, get more money. I guess that's
exactly what happened.
That's got to be what happened, because I don't know where this game came from otherwise. So, not a lot of hope.
You've explained why they didn't give any support for Starfighter Assault for 2 years, because they already had an idea of let's resell this for $40 a pop. Instead of giving them free updates, we can just make another game.
Which, by the way, was a game mode that had a lot of promise, but totally lost all support, so it died. And I don't know. I just assume this game's going to die as well. All right, a couple other things. Just
Starfighter Assault had
ahead.
other eras. This only has one era.
Yeah, that's
Starfighter
a huge
Assault has
difference.
all three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's got all kinds of different ships, and you're not going to get all kinds of different ships. So I don't know what they're doing. That's what I come down to. Outside of that, a couple other things just to pin in on real quick on EA Play. Apex Legends, game we play a lot, announced some DLC they're going to have. This was probably the best part of the entire conference, at least for me, which isn't saying much because it was like, oh, that's cool. It's the only positive thing I felt this entire conference. Was like, oh, okay, that looks kind of cool. Do you have any extra thoughts on what Apex's little DLC
No.
thing is?
I mean, it's still part of the same season. It's not a new season. We're not getting any new characters. We're just getting cosmetics, a little bit of a map change, and that's kind of it. They're adding a new, shotgun sniper mode, but that's kind of basic. There's not really adding much to Apex, but it's sad that that's the most exciting thing is the little tiny addition of skins and one or two things to do in Apex is more than the rest of the show.
I guess the bigger thing with Apex is that it's going to be crossplay and it'll be available on the Nintendo Switch now, which
that's a big deal.
Is an interesting, like for me personally, I'm really excited it's going to be on the Switch because that means I might be able to play it on the go. The only problem is the crossplay element is a potential. If they do it the right way, that's great. They do it the wrong way, it might kill the game. Maybe not kill the game, but it could lose a lot of players.
If I have to play with PC players, I will not play Apex anymore. That's why I stopped playing Call of Duty. Besides the huge update sizes, I get wrecked by PC players. It's not even close. They play on it's like a bot that doesn't miss ever. If you are in sight of a PC player, you pretty much die. It's just not fun. So I could only imagine how crazy Apex would be if I face level 500 Apex PC players. It'd be a disaster.
I mean, I'm glad they're having crossplay if they do it right. I think it's great that Xbox and PlayStation players get to play in the same lobbies and everything. But the PC is a whole nother ball game. And I mean, I feel like we harp on this a lot, especially on live streams and stuff. But if you go up against PC players, it's a whole nother world. And I think answer me this, because I honestly just don't know this. But does Fortnite, they have crossplay, but do they keep PC players out of the Fortnite lobbies that involve the Xbox and PlayStation?
Yes, I think you can choose between if you want to play with PC or if you just want to play console.
So I don't understand why Apex would not do that. I was just like straight up like, I mean, they're obviously trying.
Plus, you can do it on Call of Duty if you have PlayStation. Like you can choose to just play.
That's really dumb.
Like you can turn off the crossplay, but on Xbox, if you have Call of Duty, you have to play Warzone with PC players and crossplay to fill the lobbies. They don't let you turn it off.
Stupid.
Yep.
Oh god. Well, PlayStation wins on that one, I guess. But yeah, so if Apex is just trying to be a different version of Fortnite, it doesn't make any sense for them not to include that. So I'm going to assume that they will, because if they don't, that could be a huge shot towards Apex. Just one thing, more thing to talk about EA Play, and this is probably just going to be mostly me ranting for just a little bit. I'm not going to go on a full-on rant. This is frankly not even worth it. But they showed the EA Sports stuff again. This time, thankfully at least, they didn't take up a lot of time with it, because they have nothing to show. So, like, here's some stuff, and then just kind of moved on from that.
Don't they come out soon?
Madden usually comes out in August or late July. And then FIFA usually comes out in September. So, yeah, they're both going to come out pretty soon. And they haven't even pretended to announce that they're doing anything different. I mean, I think at this point, EA is just basically like, all right, everybody knows that we're worthless shits, but we also know that we control all of sports. So if you want to play sports video games, you're stuck with us. That's that's where they're at. It's an embarrassment. I'm just so fucking sick of EA Sports at this point because I want sports video games so badly, and they're stuck under the empire of EA, and I can't get them. So maybe someday they'll go somewhere else. But there's like nothing to say. It's just the graphics look the fucking same, and I guess the coolest thing that they could show is that we have Tom Brady playing for the Buccaneers now. Like, whoa!
Oh wow!
Look at us. We updated
changed
the
his,
rosters. Woohoo!
Yeah, they put his jersey
God.
on a different. They just took his face model, put it on a different character, and then changed his name. Wow!
Woohoo! We updated the jerseys, the new Buccaneers jerseys. We got them. All right, so that's all I'm gonna say. Just a mini rant of just what the fuck.
So
Just
the
so
event
unhappy.
sucked. That's
Yes,
basically it. It was bad.
It's basically a shit fest. The best thing was that Apex is coming to Switch.
The best
That's
thing
my
was
favorite
that it
thing.
ended.
The best thing is they didn't keep it going for 2 hours instead of like 50 minutes. So we had that. All right, so Swanee, we got a little time here. I've got a couple of Twitter questions if you think your brain can handle it.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. This comes from, I believe, Langford Artist. He says, what is one lightsaber fight you've always wanted to see but never happened? For me, it would be Anakin versus Darth Maul. So a lightsaber fight that we never actually got to see but would have been really cool to watch. I know it's a good question.
Yoda and Darth Vader.
That'd have been interesting.
episode
fighting styles.
2 or 3, fast as hell Yoda, slow, clunky, powerful Vader.
Yeah.
Would have been something.
There's a lot of people that I'd be interested to see how they'd
Or
go
Darth
up against
Maul.
Vader.
And Yoda,
Yeah,
because they're both fast.
That would be. They would never be able to record that on screen correctly. It'd be flying
Yeah,
all
that
over the
would-
place. There'd be so many edits.
Yeah.
We'd get sick.
Pretty crazy.
I was thinking Darth Maul versus Darth Vader would be interesting because they are very. Because Darth Maul is so aggressive with his fighting style and how he kind of flies through the air and stuff, while Darth Vader, like you said, is much slower and more powerful. But it would obviously be a Darth Vader more attuned to the one from Rogue One, where he's kind of just pushing on a whole nother level. He's just fighting. He's just fighting at his prime. And if you had like that Darth Vader going up against Darth Maul, I think that could be really, really interesting. Yeah, I think Darth Vader versus Darth Maul would be really cool. I just think having the two different styles of the dark side go up against each other would be kind of cool. And they would have had a legitimate conflict at some point there in between 3 and 4 potentially. Maybe. I don't know. Darth Maul was kind of all over the place, but that would be the
who knows
lightsaber
what
fight
could
I want.
happen.
All right, so this one actually relates perfectly with what we've been talking about. It said, if you had to give the Star Wars video game license to either EA, Bethesda, or Activision, which company would you give it to and why?
Ugh.
That comes from Unknown Gamer.
Ugh. Well, I don't like EA. I don't like Activision. And Bethesda has fallen from grace ever since Skyrim came out. They just went to poop.
Yeah, they've fallen
So
apart. So 3
they're
scummy
all
companies.
horrible options. Bethesda, I used to trust them, but I also don't trust Bethesda with their bugs and glitches. So we would get a Star Wars RPG that would just be riddled with bugs. Activision would be trying to jam it full of microtransactions. EA at least has learned not to do microtransactions in Star Wars, but it's EA. Oh man, I honestly don't know.
I had said something in the Discord when we were talking about this that no matter what, I want someone other than EA. I don't care who they are. I want it because at least they'll make games. Because at this point, EA doesn't even make Star Wars games. They bring out one every. We've had 3 Star Wars games in 6 years that they've had the license. I think it's been 6 years or 5 or 6 years. That's not enough. They can do a hell of a lot more than that, especially with the studios they have. I just feel like, and the games haven't been complex or deep. I mean, Battlefront 2 is about as deep as it's gotten. Fallen Order is just a simple campaign and it's over. The first Battlefront had no content. The Squadrons game's going to have pretty much no content. So I'd take Bethesda or Activision. I don't really care. I'd say Bethesda because at least they'll give us an RPG. You may be right; it'll probably be riddled with glitches, but I want a Star Wars RPG, and Bethesda does a lot of RPGs, so I guess they could at least give us that.
All right, I guess we'll agree on Bethesda.
We'll both say Bethesda because they are just slightly less scummy, and they might give us RPGs. All right, so last Twitter question, the end of this podcast. And this one might make you have to think a little deeper. But this comes from Joshua Sam. Said, what is one thing or mistake that you would like to change back in high school if you had the opportunity to change it today?
I would have dated a lot more girls than what I did. I would have been a lot more outgoing. Yes, it was a choice.
We both wanted.
I was
to date
shy.
girls in high school.
I didn't ask anybody. I found out after high school that a lot of these girls had crushes on me. I just never knew that because I was just stuck to myself. So I would have, like, knowing now, I would totally go back and I would, dated like 7 or 8 more girls than what I did.
Fair.
That's about it, though. I don't really have any other. Maybe would have not played football because the coach was a douchebag.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Kind of true in your case. Yeah, I think that there's only 2 things that majorly come to mind. I would have gone to more parties because I had totally avoided parties through high school for tons of different reasons, but all of them kind of suck in retrospect, and I could have just gone to parties. It's not the end of the world, and I don't think I would have ended up in jail or addicted to drugs if I went to a couple of parties. So I wish I would have done that, and I wish I would have played basketball because I was, I'm tall. It would have been interesting to see if I could have gotten relatively good at basketball, and I love the sport, but didn't play that in high school, so I kind of regret that. So that's my 2 regrets: basketball, and I should have partied more.
All right.
Yeah, pretty straight up. So, guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, there's a like button for that. If you really enjoyed this or anything else you see on this channel, there's a subscribe button for that. You can hit the bell for notifications. You can follow Swanee on Twitter at SwaneePlaysGames. You can follow me on Twitter at CookieLovesGin, or check out my channel as well. And
check out
Swanee?
Cookie's channel, because Cookie does podcasts like this all the time on his channel, but by himself.
I do. Yeah, if you guys like podcasts specifically, I do one nearly every single day. So check me out. I'll have that in the description. Any last words, Swanee? Any last thoughts for the people?
Screw EA. Well, that's
Screw EA. That was kind of the first thought and the last thought of this podcast.
I don't want to forget.
EA. Yeah, don't forget that. All right, guys. You have a good one.
Not going to be a game changer.
No shit.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No.
All right.
All right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.